Welcome to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and I have been a therapist and coach for over the past 13 years. No more a therapist, but I definitely have the experience, and overall 13 years working with women, reaching millions of women online through my various channels, and working with many women in my coaching, my groups, my one-on-ones. And for the last 6 years, my main and only focus has been helping women break free from toxic relationships and narcissistic abuse. And so if you were to go back and you're new here, if you're not new here, maybe you can skip it, 15 seconds if you don't want to hear this, if you already know about the shift in direction we're going. But if you're newer here and you have come across me because I've been doing this for 6 years, and you may have come across me because that is resonating with where you are right now, there's lots of episodes here that I've created with the intention to help you get clarity on what is going on in your relationship. I'm no longer offering one-on-one coaching for women who are still stuck in the patterning. I do offer power hours and Telegram coaching if you just want the confirmation that this is what you're experiencing. So I do the power hour where you send me in everything that's going on. I will clarify everything that's going on for you and give you my professional, quote unquote, diagnosis of the dynamic of what's going on. Not diagnosing anyone, but diagnosing the pattern to confirm with my best guess, with all of my expertise and all of the work I've done with women and seeing everything there is to see, to give you that confirmation and then your next step. So I do offer that. If you are here because that is what you're experiencing, I don't want you to feel left in the dust, because I want to help women who are experiencing this, but I want to help women who are really driven. They just want the solution, like, give me a plan, tell me what to do, and you go with it. I will tell you where you need to go next, my suggestions, my professional take on it because of all the years and expertise that I have around this. And women that come in and work with me and get that kind of clarity and direction, they take it and run with it. I will not do hand-holding, and I will not care more about your safety and well-being than you do, or your kids' safety and well-being than you do. So if you are in a situation where your kids are being harmed or at risk of being harmed, I'm going to be very blunt with you. If that is what's going on, then your next step needs to be, how do I get the hell out of this situation? So if you're just wanting direct, like, no bullshit direction from me and confirmation that this isn't just you, that you're not equally to blame, that there's something else going on, that I can do inside my 1 hour power hours. But the longer term coaching I do with women is very much focused on themselves. What do I need to focus on? What identity do I need to be? What are the areas of my life I need to go all in on? Even if I'm still in the relationship, I'm shifting my focus now because I recognized you're at a place of readiness that you recognize you are in this pattern and you are the one that needs to change. He does not need to change. He is not going to change. So as soon as you wake up and you stop with the incessant delusional thinking that they need to be any different, and you say to yourself, it's me, I need to be different. I remember the moment I had that awakening, looking at myself in the mirror. One really upsetting interaction of some kind I cannot remember. But I looked at myself and I'm like, you are the problem here. Like, you got to get your shit together. And so I think it's my passion is I want women to be free. I want women to be in their power. I want them to be liberated. I want them to stand in their truth. I want them to be able to step into what they truly desire and believe they can really have it. I want them to believe that they can make it on their own, that even if it might be really hard and the rebuild might not go smooth and you might lose things and have to rebuild, that it is far better to do that while living authentically in your own truth. Outside of violence, outside of toxicity, you're figuring your way out, and it can be wobbly. It can be shifty. You might have to rebuild something. Things might not go your way, but this is life, and it's the price you pay to get your freedom. And we also, as women, we have to be able to 100% own our choice. We as humans have this beautiful thing called choice. And even though our unconscious runs most of our choice, we still have to take ownership for our unconscious. And then we have to take ownership for making the unconscious conscious by doing the work, by doing the consciousness work, by doing the awakening work. This is the work I do with women. This is what I do in my coaching. This is what we do in the self-sourced inner circle. We're working on you because it's not about him. It's not about hating men. It's not about saying all men are toxic and shit. It's not about fixing him, holding him accountable, making him be any different. It's about women detaching from all of that and saying, I'm ready to rise. I'm ready to be different. It's me. And so that I don't end up repeating this pattern, whether I leave this relationship or not. I leave the relationship and I think, all right, I dust myself off. Phew, I got out. And then you think that you're immune to ending up in another relationship like that because you left one. But you didn't actually heal why you got in it in the first place. So regardless, whether you're in it or you're out of it, healing you is critical. So I work with women on the other side who have come out of these relationships and they're rebuilding, they're reintegrating, they're rewiring, they're shifting beliefs, they're expanding into abundance consciousness, visioning. What do I want in my life now? Even the things that I've been told I couldn't have, wasn't smart enough, shouldn't want, wasn't good enough, areas you've been criticized, areas you've been over-functioning, areas you've been people-pleasing, fixing, trying to keep everything going on your own, and you suddenly look at it all from a new lens and realize that you have been the source of all of the chaos that you have created, that you have participated in. Because if we're blaming men, we are out of our power. And so this feminist movement, I really do fear that it actually keeps women in the victim culture because it's saying, why aren't men being held accountable? And people then are saying, well, why didn't you leave? You know, and women are saying, well, stop putting fault on us. The fault is on men. But to be truly empowered, we have to take ownership for why we stayed. We must, if we want to evolve. If you want to stay where you are and keep repeating that pattern with someone else down the road or in the current situation, then this isn't for you. But you're here because you want the truth and you want it from someone that's been doing this. I've been in the trenches working with women for 13 years as a counselor and a coach. I have the experience. And this means that I've seen a lot. And I have worked with women who experienced a lot. I've put myself through a lot and been through a lot. So this comes from wisdom as a woman of 48 years old, as a woman who was a mother at 19 and in a very volatile relationship, my first one. And so I have this depth of I've been there, I've been in those depths, and I get it, and I get what it takes to get out of it, and I get what it takes to rewire and to actually bring yourself into a healing state. I know what it's like to lose it all. I know what it's like to have health crisis. I know what it's like to break and feel like you're never going to recover. I know all of those things. And so now I can help women because I'm holding a hand down to pull them up to say, let's go. But they have to join and meet me there. They have to be willing. So we have to be able to hold ourselves accountable. So this rhetoric of why aren't men being held accountable? That's why I'm saying it's not your job to hold him accountable. It's not your job to get him to see the light or to make any man change. It doesn't matter if it's this relationship or you leave this one and you go, oh, I want to start getting on the dating apps and date again. And then you're finding there's more of these men that are just doing the same stuff. And you're like, why are all these men like this? Instead of saying, why am I a match for this? And I say this with so much love. We have to be accountable and ask ourselves, how did I end up there? How have I ended up here? Wherever you are. And the victim culture is alive and well on social media. With the feminism and all that crap, it can actually perpetuate women's victim mentality and the trauma and anchor in the trauma of what you've been through, because the more you tell the story, you feel more vindicated and you want the attention because you're telling the story. It's true. We're getting something out of it. You get something out of telling the story over and over and over again. And so when we own up to it and go, oh my God, like I'm draining myself by talking about this for the millionth time. And we say, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to talk about, how do I rise? How do I build a legacy? How do I become the woman that creates what she truly wants in this lifetime? Because victim culture will say all men are toxic. But the self-sourced woman says, not anymore, because I no longer choose toxic. As I said, as the human species, we have this amazing ability to choose. We have the power of choice. So even if we didn't know better at the time, we still own the choice. I made the choice to get in a relationship with this person, to get married, to buy a house, to have kids, to have the entanglements I have, to support him financially. Somehow I made a decision way back whenever it was, that I was okay with that, because whatever story he said or whatever thing it was I was trying to get met within myself, I was okay with the fact that I had the income and he did not, and I got into that situation. I made that choice. So the only reason that the only way we can ever really shame ourselves, in a sense, honestly, is if we keep choosing the same thing. That's where shame starts to come in, and it's toxic, because you know that this is not good, or that what you're doing is not good, and you keep choosing it over and over again, but not calling it choice. By calling it, you don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. I'm stuck. I'm this, I'm that. It's so hard. I have so much I have to consider. I've got to leave my house. I've got to this, I got to that. You don't know what your choices are, but there are many. And we have to stop blaming all men. That yes, there are bad men out there, men that don't have integrity, men that are not honest, men that don't respect women, men that don't respect and protect women and children, men that are bullies, boundary violators, abusers, yes, violent. And I would say some are just evil. They don't have any empathy or remorse in their body. But unless you heal what it is that attracted you to that type of person instead of repelled you from it, you'll just keep dating the same man in a different body. And it's really about admitting that you were betraying and have been betraying yourself. So we have to get out of the whole, this is why I've shifted what I'm talking about. If you come over on my Instagram now, I'm shifting the dialogue, because I've done this for so long. And while I could post all kinds of things that do really well for vanity metrics, it's not what I want to be talking about anymore. And so it's been a bumpy ride to figure out I want to talk to women who get this, who are powerful and they resonate with it, which is not going to be the masses. It's going to be a smaller pool of women that resonate with this, because it's the journey I had to go on. And I know there are women that resonate with this, because as soon as I started talking about that, women are asking how they can work with me because they resonate with that. Different types of women that resonate with that vibration, women that are entrepreneurial, successful, career-driven, that understand that even though you have success in some areas of your life, you can still have dysfunction in a relationship, and we want our life to align. We want the success to also align with our success in love and in our own well-being. And so we have to stop centering men. We have to stop waiting for them to stand up and step up. We have to stop waiting for them to change, stop waiting for them to take ownership, and change yourself. Take ownership for yourself and stop wondering, why are men like this? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And ask, why do I keep allowing this? Why do I keep allowing this to repeat? Because if you don't do that work, the cycle will keep going. And this isn't about blaming yourself. This is not victim blaming. Please let me be clear. And if you think that it is, then this podcast isn't for you anyways. It's taking ownership so that you can be free. If I own that I'm responsible for everything I have and don't have in my life right now, whether it sucks, whether it's hard, whether it's beautiful, whether it's abundant, whether it's, expansive and inspiring and all of that and joyful, I get to own that. And I get to choose which side I want to create from in any moment. Do I want to choose from hardship, scarcity, lack, stress, struggle, striving, burnout, or expansion, self-love, joy, pleasure? You get to choose that, and that's freedom. The box that you're living in is self-imposed, I promise you, if you don't see any other way. And so if you are in a place where you're like, I don't know where to go from here, and you just need that direction, then reach out to me on Instagram. We can chat about a power hour. I do this over Telegram, where you will fill out a form explaining to me some things that are going on, some examples, and I will give you confirmation about what's actually going on here, my professional take, and your next steps. And then we go back and forth over an hour in Telegram so you can get everything you want to get covered and ask me about within that time. That time is dedicated just to you. So come with your questions, come with your areas where you feel stuck and you want my expertise and you want my guidance, because we cover a lot in that time. It's very powerful. And then you have the chat and the audio messages to access and go back and listen to whenever you want. That's what's really cool about the Telegram Power Hours. And you can do this anywhere, from a car, from a park, from really anywhere, because it is done. You can use text if you'd rather type through the whole session. I primarily use the voice notes, but you can do this anywhere. This is why it's such a beautiful thing for busy women or women who can't get privacy for an hour. There's no calls, there's no video calls, anything like that. So if you want to book your power hour, get in touch with me on Instagram at Awakening Women Official and let me know. And then the last thing is that I have created a beta group. It was something I put out there and a handful of women jumped in because I wanted to test the theory that this is wanted. It's called the Self-Sourced Inner Circle. And in there, we are talking about how to embrace your self-sourced power. So we're talking about the work you need to do. There's a whole bunch of broadcasts already in there ready for you in the membership. And so I do this 3 times a week where I'm in there teaching on something tangible, and then we discuss it in the chat. Every Friday, you can come in and open up any question and get coaching from me each week in the Telegram app. And that is not the only thing you get, which is access to me and access to light support and the community, and then the weekly broadcasts centered around the self-sourced woman. You also get access to my entire course library that I have that is valued at over $10,000 when you are a member. You will get access to everything I just spoke about and the program access. So that includes my OG and the cycle program, which is now the relationship clarity method that's been expanded. There's a lot thrown in there. Like, there's everything that you need in there to figure out your relationship and never repeat it again. Basically, figure it out, make your choices, make your decisions, make your plan. There's support on the other side, which you will need. Support as you're going through the other side to stay focused on self, stay focused on your own power. But there's everything you need in the program that's very supportive. And when you have worked through all of that, your chances, as long as you're doing the work, as long as you are actually doing the work, you are far less likely to be repeating that again. And even if you did, you would spot it sooner and you would eject. You also do need to learn about how to not get wrapped up in something down the road and learn from mistakes and choices made in the past. So there's that too. And so my focus in the inner circle is to help you expand and work on you. But the program itself is for you to get the support and processes you need, everything I've ever created, to help women who are in these relationships to build the inner and outer resources and strength to make a decision that is in their highest alignment. And ladies, if you are in one of these relationships, and you need to do something and you're not doing anything, again, that's a choice. You're making a choice to not do anything. You're choosing to wait. And the longer you wait, honestly, the worse it gets. The more ingrained it becomes. And so if you are in a place where you are not sure what to do, that's okay too. I just really want every woman to understand that there is a different way. And you don't have to sit there waiting, twiddling your thumbs, wringing your hands about what to do, losing more sleep. You can get a strategy. You can get support. You can shift your focus. You can allow someone like me, if you feel aligned with me, to call you out on your bullshit so you can move forward. This was really just an off-the-cuff, very raw, real riff that I had no notes. I just wanted to share what's really on my heart as I have just finished off the week with coaching clients and coaching and guiding women who are on the other side of these relationships or are still in it. And this all is just very present within me, as if I needed to share this based on the collective consciousness of the type of women that are coming in, is that it's time for us to learn as women to choose ourselves, to source our own power, safety, security, freedom, our own validation, our own soothing, our own pleasure, like all of these things that make us whole, our dreams, our visions. And I'm not here to say, oh, just live single your whole life and swear off men. I don't believe that. I saw something on Instagram the other day that really stuck with me. And there's truth in it. There's a lot of wounded women that they say things like, oh, just stay away altogether and swear off men. You can do that. It doesn't matter to me. But I think most women, even though they've been really hurt, they do long for that person that they could grow old with, or someone they could do life with, someone that's like a best friend, a companion, a lover, someone to live adventures with, to laugh with, to have quiet moments with, and all of that. I think deep down we all want that, but we are afraid when we've been burned and when it's gone wrong. But I saw this thing on Instagram the other day that was something to the tune of like, one day your kids are going to grow up and they're going to have families of their own, and it's true, we want that. Then their family is, while they're still going to love their parents, the reality is they're supposed to fly away and figure out their own life. So it might come down to, you may only see them on holidays. You may only see them every month or every couple of months. Even your closest friends, you see them on occasion. Your person, your partner, is the person you're with every day. They're the ones with you there through thick and thin, on the days you're sick, on the days you're having a hard day. They're there with you in the quiet moments. And I think all of us as humans, we don't like the idea of living and dying alone. Of course not. And we can't guarantee that will never happen, because fact is, someone will usually go before the other, and there will be a time where you're alone. But I'm more speaking of like, we're in midlife and we've still got many years ahead of us, hopefully very many healthy years ahead of us. And you can keep wasting it away in something that is not for you anymore. And then you're just shortening the amount of time that you have to devote to being alone for a while, to healing yourself, to preparing for someone that you really want in your life, a man, if that's what you decide. Or if you're one of the women that are swearing off men altogether, that's fully your choice as well. Nothing wrong with that. But I know that most women, deep down, that's not necessarily what they want. They just don't want to end up in something very similar again down the road. So if you want to join into the inner circle, then get in touch with me, DM me on Instagram, and let me know. We are doing so much in there around rewiring, shifting identities, moving you into a new level very quickly. All right, so that's pretty much it. My voice is crackling. I made it through this, trying not to cough. yeah, I hope maybe there was something in this that you needed to hear. It was a Leanne rant. I haven't done an episode in a while. Life's been kind of busy. And as I said, trying to heal from spending all of last week unwell. But I'm doing much better. And I'm feeling this like in my bones that this movement is very powerful. Where we're going, the self-sourced, like this came to me. The self-sourced woman. Like when you think about that, what does that feel like? It's the embodiment of everything I've ever taught, every talk I've ever given, every workshop I've ever done, every coaching or counseling session I've ever done has always centered around teaching my clients how to be self-sourced. And it just came to me that that is my signature. That's my methodology, really, in everything I've ever done. And it was what I did in the cycle and working with women in narcissistic relationships. Because when they got in there, that was 95% of the work was on themselves. And so now we're just evolving and we're deepening more into what it means to be that self-sourced woman, not just with relationships, but in your body, health, money, success, career, business. How do you source your wholeness from within instead of trying to seek it externally? Because we lose when we try to do that because we can't control the external. All right, so that wraps up this episode and I'll chat with you online. Bye for now.